Good. So today we talk about this important concept, grounding. Grounding. Tarti. In Punjabi, we call that tarti. Ground. So grounding is an electrical term that is used a lot in psychology. Grounding is an electrical term. It's and the origin of this term is lightning. Lightning. What's lightning in Punjabi? Bijli. So when lightning comes, electricity comes from the sky, the cloud. It hits the ground. Bijli digni, yeah. So the ground absorbs the energy, and then the energy is discharged, it's gone, it's calm. So electricity, lightning happens when there is a cloud and you get these anions, and you get these electrical kind of charges that change in such a way that they get very charged. And they're so charged, let's say they're all positive, I think they're all actually negative, but anyways, this isn't a physics class, but let's say they're all positive. What happens is the pressure, there's so many of these charges and they repel each other. That's what, negative pushes away negative, positive pushes away positive. So for whatever reason, there is tension. The closer they are together, there's tension here. And the more of them that there are, this red, the more red that there is, as the cloud, as it gets heavier, the tension grows and more of this tension happens. And as you have more and more of these things that are repelling each other, everything wants to escape. Everything wants to escape, and over time, you get even more red. Everything is red.
All sides, yeah.
And pressure is building and building and building, and then eventually it builds so much. Lightning strikes. And hits the ground. And the earth neutralizes, it absorbs the energy, and then you just have your cloud. And we'll put a little smiley face. So this is very unhappy. It discharges, and then the cloud becomes happy. What that means is the cloud becomes tension free. High tension. So this term in psychology that's called grounding is actually based in physics, and it's about electricity. And so electrical outlets will have parts of them that if you touch them, you neutralize your charge. So in psychology, we use this word a lot too, grounding, tarti. Because it turns out our head, our brain works the same way. So this could be tension from positive and negative charge. It can also be tension from emotions. Emotions where, you know, you have a different cloud, except this one has different parts of self. So this is you, and you have different parts of your brain. And let's say you have a lot of trauma. You have a lot of pain from a lot of years. Well, the same thing is going to happen. These parts are not going to get along. And that tension is going to build. It's going to create that unhappy environment of high tension. That comes from all these parts conflicting. For example, you know, there's a common saying in the West, I have a love-hate relationship with my spouse. I love her, and sometimes I hate her. That's what people say. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Which one is it? Do you love her or do you hate her? The answer is both. You can love and hate together. Because as humans, our brains are very, very sophisticated. They can hold opposite viewpoints, if you're healthy, without tension. But an unhealthy brain can't. So an unhealthy brain, you're either winning or you're losing. If you think you should be winning and part of you thinks you're losing, then those two parts are butting heads. We call that internal conflict. And when these two parts are not getting along, it generates heat. That heat is emotional energy. Anger, intense sadness, is oftentimes caused by paradoxes.
What does a paradox mean?
A paradox creates tension, and a paradox is simply something that doesn't make any sense. So having a love-hate relationship with someone is a paradox. It's true and it's not true together. And life is full of paradox. It's full of these weird things that are true sometimes, not true other times. Day and night. That's a polarity. A paradox is, you know, and a good example is the most basic paradox of all. It's light. Did you know physics says that this lightning bolt, if you look at it very, very closely, if you look at it with the smallest microscope, it can act like a wave.
Yeah.
And yet, that same little thing can also have weight. Did you know that light has weight?
Yes.
A photon.
Yeah.
If you observe light, it actually has momentum.
Yes.
we use that. We can use lasers. There's a technology that where they use lasers to push little particles in space really, really fast. So what the laser beam is it's like a bunch of pushes, one photon after another hitting this little chip, and it's pushing it like air.
Yeah.
And yet, how can that be true when it's a wave? Light is a wave. And depending on how you observe it, it can act as both a mass and a wave. That's a paradox. And a healthy brain can hold a paradox and not go crazy and not get into high tensions. A healthy brain can think of someone that they love, and they know that, hey, there's things they do that trigger them. That's every relationship. An unhealthy brain will be really happy and really sad. Really happy and really sad. A healthy brain will say, there's ups and downs. I'm level. I know that it's down right now, but it's going to be up tomorrow. So I'm okay with that. I know it's night right now, but tomorrow day will come. A healthy brain can hold both ideas together. Unhealthy brain, when it's good, it's really good, gets way too happy, as if it's never going to end. An unhealthy brain, when it ends, then it's like the world is over. An unhealthy brain, also known as a brain that's locked in the child state, or emotionally immature, will struggle to hold opposite emotions, opposite ideas, opposite emotions. The healthier a brain gets, the less fragmented it is. Where there's very loose separation. Ideas flow smoothly. You can be upset, but you can remain. So there's a lot less tension here. There's a lot less tension. If there's tension, there's easy ways to let it go. So recovery is this journey. Self-therapy moves you in that direction. But we have to come, it takes time. So grounding for when you're emotionally upset is developing a process whereby you can discharge or reorient and come to a neutral place. And so what we want to do is we want to build strategies and tools and techniques so that we can quickly ground so that this destruction doesn't happen. Because if this keeps going, lightning creates a lot of damage. Now, our system is designed, forest fires are needed actually for new forests to come. It's not bad.
Bypass the lightning too, right?
But the thing is that emotionally when this happens, it's just bad. It's just destruction. Drama. Drugs. Alcohol. Fights. Suicide. If you don't have something to ground this, eventually the lightning will come. Just like it always does with a big... If you don't do something when all that charge is gathering, right? It doesn't suddenly happen. There's a nice fluffy cloud and it becomes darker and darker and darker. You know it's coming. If somehow that load can be lightened in another way, it wouldn't get that bad where this lightning has to hit. So psychologically, we talk about grounding. Grounding as the things that you can do to lighten this so that this doesn't happen. And grounding is a key part of self-therapy. Because lots of people, they meditate and they like, oh, all nice and great, but they're not grounded. They're upset before, they do this thing and they're still upset after. So if you want to make the most of your whatever it is you're doing, you need to make sure you're grounded. And there's a couple of very good ways to do that. So I'll just move this a little bit. So the thing about grounding is that the thing about grounding strategies, this high tension state, well, guess, you know who struggles with holding opposites in their head? Children. So we call this a child state. Anytime you are upset, a very good exercise to do is ask yourself, how old am I feeling right now? Chances are, if you're very upset, if you're very angry, if you ask yourself, you'll say something like 8, or 5, or 7, or 12, or 18. It'll be a younger age. Because that's how the brain works. So, what the tension does, this high emotional state, it activates a child state which is amygdala. And we talk a lot about that somewhere else. So I won't get into the details of this. So, when you're really upset, you forget for a moment where you are. You don't even know what year it is. And so, when you're really upset, you can reorient yourself. To the present. So if you get very, very triggered, very, very upset, and you go into a child state that's, let's say, 8 years old, and the other person is not listening, you're really upset. If you open your mouth and talk to that person, and in this state, you're going to do what an 8-year-old does. And you're going to make a mess of it. Guaranteed. An 8-year-old belongs in an 8-year-old's body. An 8-year-old, society has very low expectations of an 8-year-old. That's grade 3. So they can handle tantrums. They can handle, because you're never going to be on your own. But a 40-year-old? If a 40-year-old acts like an 8-year-old, they'll end up in jail. They'll end up in the hospital. They'll end up making a bad deal. They'll end up harming a relationship because there's things you just can't do. An 8-year-old, yeah, you know what? An 8-year-old, they're learning how to regulate their emotions so they can punch people in the face. They're not going to go to jail over it, but their parents may be called. But you can't. So we have to find other ways. And the key part to all grounding is this idea of reorienting, reminding yourself that you are here in the year 2020, if this is next year and you watch this, 2023, whatever. Reminding yourself what year it is, activating your senses, bringing yourself to the present, will take this tension and it will ground it. It will put it into the earth. It will ground it out. And you'll be neutral. There's a couple of very helpful ways to do that. So, number one, I would have to say is the breath. The breath is the most powerful way to ground yourself. Slowed breathing is low anxiety breathing. If you slow your breath, the average human is anxious. The average human breathes at a rate of 16 to 20 per minute. That's an anxious breath. If you slow it down, you will get progressively more and more calm. Why? Because you have to be in the present in order to breathe consciously. So you're upset, but part of you can remember, okay, just slow down the breath. What's going to happen is, in order to do that, you have to focus in the present, because you have to take conscious control of your diaphragm, and that will automatically bring you to the year 2022. A very good way to breathe is 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out. As you get comfortable with that, 10 seconds in, 10 seconds hold, 10 seconds out. Most people should be able to do that. You can push it up to 20 seconds in, 20 seconds hold, 20 seconds out. But the thing is, if you do breathing slow, and you're not going to die if you're breathing at a rate of 2 or 4 breaths per minute. In fact, you're going to take really healthy big breaths. Best vitamin you got is your breath. Science says that your body can go without oxygen for about 4 minutes without breathing before you suffer irreversible brain damage. So that's not this. So you can slow your breath safely. As a medical doctor, I can say that. Slowed breathing will bring your attention back to 2022. Just on its own. Breathing at a rate of 4 or 2 breaths per minute, which is simply 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, and 5 seconds exhale. Now, you can strengthen this even further by adding an affirmation. That affirmation, or that mantra, it can be anything. It can be like Satnam Waheguru, it can be this too shall pass, it can be Om Namo Shivaya, it can be something, anything at all. It can even be it's 2022. Now, some people get activated by those words, it's 2022, because they're upset with themselves that, you know, it's this year and this is all I have to show for it. So sometimes that can actually agitate. But everyone can find something. Just say it once as you breathe it in, say it once as you hold, say it once as you exhale, and you will very rapidly calm this, you'll very rapidly ground that. That's the goal. And you want to do whatever that is for at least 3 minutes. It usually takes 3 minutes to completely ground yourself, and you know where no one disturbs you? It's in the toilet. No one bothers you in the toilet. So the toilet or the washroom, everyone can create 5 minutes of space. So if you're in the middle of an argument, excuse yourself and leave. Go to the toilet, ground yourself, so that you don't make it worse. Most people, when they're in this state, they're trying to put out fire with gasoline, and it ain't working. It just makes it burn stronger. Breathing, number 1. Number 2, I would have to say, is actually smell. Smell and to some degree taste. So, a really good way to taste, or to bring yourself out of your temper tantrum or whatever tension you have, is to take something strong like peppermint oil. Or take lavender. Peppermint works really well though. And you just sniff it, smell it. What happens is, as your brain knows at some level, the year is 2022. What's the smell? You get pulled, when you're in high tension, you get pulled into previous memories. That's what they call re-traumatization. You pull yourself back into the present by activating your smell. And because our sense of smell isn't very active all the time, we're not smelling, we're not dogs. Dogs, their smelling is so powerful, they can sense everything. They're constantly, grounding won't work well for a dog with smell. Just like looking and seeing that it's 2022 isn't necessarily very grounding, because we're always seeing. We're always filtering information. And our eyes get used to that. Our brain gets used to our ocular input. And it takes something pretty surprising. It has to be shocking to the system in order to pull you out. So when you slow your breath, that little bit of breathlessness, as you slow, is kind of shock. Whoa, what's going on? You have to let that go in order to focus on this. So smell, you don't smell peppermint every day. Some people, they carry it in like a little necklace or in their pocket. And when they're upset or when their mind is going really fast, taking 20 sniffs. You don't have to like hurt your nose or anything. And if you want brownie points, you say your affirmation. Affirmation or mantra. Something soothing. This too shall pass. It's 2022. I'm okay. I'm doing my best. Satnam Waheguru. Ya Ali. Whatever.
Life is beautiful, everything.
Life is beautiful. I am bountiful. I am beautiful. I am blissful. That's a good one. So the thing is that as you smell and you say those words in your mind, it will shift you very rapidly into the present. Don't have to believe me, but take 10 sniffs. I am bountiful, I am beautiful, I am blissful. I am bountiful, I am beautiful, I am blissful. I am bountiful, I am beautiful, I am blissful. 10 sniffs. How long does that take? Not very long. But it will rapidly bring you into the present. If you don't have something to smell, taste can do a similar job. But because we're tasting things all the time, it takes a strong taste. So something that you're not used to. Lemon is a good way to do it. Something sour, something that just, that will shift you out of this child state very quickly. Number 3, tapping. We teach tapping in another recording. These points, some people don't even tap at all these points, the 14 points of the trauma tapping technique. Some people just do one, like around the eyes is particularly good. Under the eyes is an excellent place to tap with an affirmation. I'm okay. You know, the affirmation can even be in another language. In fact, sometimes it's best to have it in another language that you don't understand very well, because it doesn't interact with this mess. So if I think I'm ugly and I say I'm beautiful, that's going to interact with the mess. It may, in a good way, for sure. It'll like reprogram the mess, but it won't necessarily get you calm immediately. Whereas if you say I am beautiful in like Gurmukhi or in another language that you don't understand very well, the message is still going in, but it's not triggering you more. So those things oftentimes work the best when you're using them in grounding. So tapping, just tapping under your eyes, a really good place, and just imagine you're doing a drum beat. This, you're tapping under your eye, and you're saying, Vaheguru, I am okay, I am okay, the sky is blue, whatever. But the simultaneous act of talking and saying something and tapping at the same time will allow you to discharge that emotion before it blows. These are the 3 best ways to prepare yourself to do anything deep. Whether it's a meditation, whether it's a conversation, anything recovery. If you're going to a recovery group, taking some time in the middle, before, during, and afterwards to ground yourself, you will get 80-90% more out of it. If you do anything and you're like this, you're not going to listen. 1%, 0.1%. But if you go and do some grounding and you do something recovery, you'll get so much more out of it. So I'm a big fan of don't waste your breath. Don't waste your time. Why waste time? Life is short. The better thing is to ground yourself. And if you're the kind of person that charges up several times in a day, your mind starts racing, then you need to become the kind of person that's going to discharge, ground yourself several times a day. If you get in that habit, over time, you won't need to ground yourself as much. If you're really highly charged, it may take a couple more minutes of this. But it's essential for everyone to find a way to quickly bring themselves down. Maybe it's a combination of these things. But these are just 3 examples of things that definitely work. They work in different ways. Some people use, also I should mention, I mention it as number 4 because I don't find it works necessarily as efficiently as the first 3, but just sensory grounding. So this is that 5-4-3-2-1 technique. So where you kind of just look around, you look for 5 things, see 5 things, hear 4 things, touch 3 things, smell 2 things, and taste 1 thing, even if it's your tongue. That's a good thing to do, but when you're really, really charged, I don't find people are able to use that in a strong enough way. So I prefer to go to things like this, but if that does work for you, then definitely it's good. If you go on the internet, you Google DBT techniques, they're all about grounding. There's many of them. Some people pinch themselves, don't hurt yourself. Some people are into that, so that's not a good one for them. If that's actually people who cut themselves are oftentimes grounding themselves with the pain. It's not great, but it is a way to do it for sure. That leaves you scarred, but in the moment it's the only thing that makes sense. And believe it or not, you'll do that too. If you don't do something about this, then eventually you're going to do self-harm in one way or the other. So this is the talk on grounding, very essential technique. And in self-therapy, you want to be doing this regularly. And when you do self-therapy, for some people it might be tapping, you might add flash. There's a lot of techniques, like I said, there's many of them. I'm just giving a couple of the highly effective ones that I've found in my clinical experience work really well. But the thing is that when you practice these daily, they become part of you. You begin to channel that emotion, and then you can make and you can heal a lot faster. So that's all we'll say about grounding, and then I'll just take some questions. Thank you.